Page 721, number 33. Sketch the graph of the polar equation, and we're given r equals 5 times the cosine of 3 theta. And we've got some polar graph paper to work with. Now, back when we first learned to graph, we would make an xy table of values. Now we're going to make an r theta table of values. In the past, we would choose x, find y. In this case, we're going to choose theta and find r. And we're going to use values of theta. Let's see here, we've got 0 degrees, I've got 45 degrees, 90 degrees, and we could do that either in terms of radians or in degrees. So let's go with 0 degrees, let's say 30, 45, 60, 90, and then let's get some other values here as well, like 180, 270. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my calculator here, and first let's just make sure our mode is in degrees. Looks good. And we're going to plug each of those values in here. So I'm going to say 5 times the cosine of 3 theta. So 3 times 0 is just 0. And if I press enter, I get a value of 5. Now let's plug 30 in place of theta. So that gives me 5 times the cosine of 3 times 30, which is equal to 90. And that gives me a value of 0. Now let's plug 45 in here. 5 times the cosine of 3 times 45. We'll press enter, and that gives us about negative 3.5 or so. Next, let's plug 60 in here. That's going to be 5 times the cosine. 3 times 60 is 180. And when I press enter, I get negative 5. Let's plug 90 in here. 5 times the cosine of 3 times 90, which is 270. That gives us 0. And if I plug 180 in here, 5 times the cosine of 3 times 180, I get negative 5. And if I plug 270 in here, 5 times the cosine of 3 times 270, that gives me a value of 0. Okay, so let's graph these points. First of all, if my angle is 0, my radius is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got a point right here. If my angle is 30, my radius is 0. So 30 is right here, radius of 0. If my angle is 45, so 45 degrees is right here, my radius is negative 3.3. So 1, 2, or that was 3.5, I believe. 1, 2, 3.5. At 60 degrees, which is right here, my angle is negative 5. Or my radius is negative 5, excuse me. At 90 degrees, we're back to 0. At 180 degrees, we're at negative 5. And at 270 degrees, we're at 0. So what's going on here? Well, let's let our calculator do some of this work for us. I'm going to press my mode key, and I'm going to change my graphing mode to polar graphing. Then if I press my y equals key, I can type in here r equals 5 times the cosine of 3 theta. And if I graph this, well, I don't see a whole lot, so let's press my zoom key and press the 6th choice Z standard. And there's my graph. So my graph, what it is, it's a rose curve. It comes out something like this, curves down through these points down here, and then it curves up the same way in this direction. Notice there are 3 petals because of this number 3 right in here. The length of each petal is 5 because of this number right here. And there's the graph of this polar equation. We could have gotten that graph without our calculator by picking more precise angles, but I think you'll agree using the calculator is much easier, takes much less time.